This is Module 4, Lesson 3. We're still working on our linear equations in one variable. Today we're going to solve multi-step linear equations. Essentially, you are going to set them up. You're going to handle using collecting like terms and distributive property, set them up as two-step equations, and then solve them. Now, this is in your packet, multi-step equations. Let's start with this first one right here, number 1. Let's put in our line down the equal sign, just like we've been doing. Now, we look at both sides and we see if they're as simple as they can be. 49 is, but here I've got 2x minus 8x. Can I combine those like terms because we've got x's here? These are our variables. This is our numbers. I could combine these variables. 2x minus 8x would give me negative 6x plus 1 is equal to 49. Okay. Now, I've got it down to a two-step equation, all right? This is as simple as it gets here. Whenever I'm doing this, I use PEMDAS and I work it backwards whenever I'm solving for a variable and crossing the equal sign. To get this 1 away from this is your adding and subtracting. To get the 1 away from it, which I'm adding to it, I do the opposite of adding it, I subtract it. This gives me negative 6x is equal to 48. Now, to get to the x itself, this is negative 6 is multiplied by the x. The opposite of multiplying is to divide. If I divide here, I get 1x or x. 48 divided by negative 6 is negative 8. Now, if I wanted to check this, just like all the others, I just simply plug it back in, substitute it in. 2 times negative 8 minus 8 times negative 8 plus 1, see if that equals 49. 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. Negative 8 times negative 8 is a positive 64. And that's plus 1. And we see if that's 49. And if you add these together, that's 65 minus 16. You come up with 49 is 49. So this is indeed the correct solution. The solution for this equation is negative 8. Now let's try number 2. If I'm looking at 2, let's see if both sides are as simple as they can get. I checked this first one. The rest of them, I'm going to let you check. I'm just going to work them for you. Okay. Now, if I look at this first side, this is as simple as it gets. But how about this side? I need to combine some like terms, negative 5 and negative 11. I only put the lines underneath them so I'll know that they belong together. You could circle them if you wanted to. Negative 5 plus negative 11, or negative 5 minus 11, is going to be equal to negative 16. And then we've got bring down our minus 3a. Okay, now this is as simple as it gets. So I need to isolate the variable a. 16 is subtracted from this negative 3a. So the opposite of subtracting 16 is to add 16. Negative 19 plus 16 gives me negative 3. Equals negative 3a. I'm trying to get to the a. If negative 3 is multiplied by a, the opposite of multiplying is to divide. And remember, what we do on one side of the equal sign, we have to do on the other. So a is equal to 1. Now let's look at number 3. Okay. We have to draw our line down through the equal sign to just separate our two sides. This is simple as it gets for the 19. But I've got some things I can collect like terms on here. I have a 10 and a negative 7. Neither one of those have variables. Then I have a negative 5w and a 9w. Okay. So let's do this. 19 is equal to 10 minus 7, which is 3. Negative 5w plus 9w is 4w. Okay. Now I'm at a two-step equation. I just need to solve for the variable. The opposite of adding 3 is to subtract 3. I'm crossing the equal sign, so I do the opposite. 19 minus 3 is 16. This is gone. 16 is equal to 4 times w. 4 times w, the opposite of multiplying by 4 is to divide by 4. So w is equal to 16 divided by 4, which is 4. And then let's do 4 here. This is as simple as it gets, but this is not. Let's collect like terms. 2k plus 3k gives me 5k. Negative 6 minus 7 gives me negative 13. Okay, solve for k. Let's add 13 to both sides. And I've got 5k is equal to negative 35. And let's divide both sides by 5. And k is equal to negative 7. On number 5, we're now looking at distributive property. When you see these parentheses, guys, it's distributive property. So I'm going to distribute my 7 to everything that's in parentheses. 7 times x is 7x. 7 times negative 6 is negative 42. And that's equal to negative 14. Now I simply have a two-step equation and I need to solve it. Put your line through your x's. The first thing I do here is I would add 42 to both sides. If I add 42 to both sides, I'm going to wind up with negative 14 plus 42, which gives me 28. 7 times x equals 28. The opposite of multiplying 7 times x is divide both sides by 7, right? X then is going to give you 4. And then number 6, let's look at it. This side's as simple as it gets. On this side, we have distributive property, okay? So 16 is equal to negative 2k, and negative 2 times 8 is negative 18. One of the biggest mistakes people make is to forget to also distribute by the last number, so don't forget that. 16 then is equal to negative 2k minus 18. What do I need to do? Add the 18 to both sides. If I add these together, let's see, I get, what, 34 is equal to negative 2k. Let's divide both sides by negative 2. K will give me negative 17. Okay? Okay, on number 7. Negative 52 equals 4 times, in parentheses, 3n minus 1. This means we have distributive property, so we need to take care of that first, okay? I've got negative 52, and you're right, 12n minus 4, okay? I'm going to add 4 to each side. Negative 48 equals 12 times n. Divide both sides by 12. N is negative 4. And then on number 8, guys, you're multiplying by negative 1/2. Think about what half of something is. Negative 1/2. 1/2 of 12 is 6, right? So that's negative 6p. 1/2 of 42 would be 21. Negative times a negative is a positive. Equals negative 33. To cross this equal sign, now this is as simple as it gets. To cross the equal sign, let's subtract 21 from each side. Negative 6p then is equal to negative 54. Divide both sides by negative 6, and p is 9. Number 9. If we look at this, and we're trying to solve for y, what we notice is that this front side is not simplified. We need to get it as simple as possible. First, let's take care of the distributive property. 5 times y is 5y. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Minus 7y equals negative 32. That's right. Combine like terms there, we've got negative 2y minus 10 equals negative 32, right? Okay, so we're adding 10. Okay, negative 2y is equal to negative 22. Divide both sides by negative 2. Y is 11. Okay? See what we did? We had an extra step in there to get to our two-step equation. We not only did distributive property, but we also did combine like terms in that one. We're going to have to do the same thing here because we got distributive property in the middle here. Okay? So we got negative 3 plus, okay, we need to find 2/3 of 6. I'm going to bring this over here so I can see it. 2/3 times 6, that's 6 over 1, right? 2 times 6 is 12, divided by 3 is 4. Okay? So I'm going to put that right in there. 2/3 of 6n would be 4n. 2/3 of 42, negative 42. Okay? That's negative 42 over 1. Okay? That would give you negative 84 over 3. Let's see how many times 3 would go into negative 84. We're talking about a negative. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay. We wind up with 24. Negative 28, right? So let's put that in. That's negative 28 equal negative 51. Okay, let's combine like terms. We've got negative 3 and negative 28, right? That gives me negative 31, doesn't it? Now we're down to a two-step equation. Add 31 to both sides. I've got 4n is equal to negative 20. Divide both sides by 4, and n is negative 5, right? On number 11, we got 57 is equal to negative 3 times 4v plus 1 plus 2v, okay? So, this side is not as simple as it could be. Let's take care of it. There's distributive property in there. Negative 3 times 4v would give you negative 12v. Negative 3 times 1 would give you minus 3, okay? And then we've got 2v, right? Is this as simple as it can get? No. Okay, I've got negative 12v plus 2v, which would give me negative 10v minus 3, right? Now I'm down to a two-step equation. This is as simple as it can be. Do what? Add 3 to both sides. I now have 60 is equal to negative 10v. You're right. It's just you jumped a step on me, okay? Yes. V then gives you negative 6, okay? On number 12, we've got our distributive property here. 7 times 3 is 21, so that's 21k. Minus 14 minus 13k equals 82. Okay? This side we've got to do some work on, right? It's not as simple as it can be. That's right. 21k minus 13k, because those are my variables. That would give me 8k, right? Minus 14 equals 82. Okay, so let's add 14 to each side. And I've now got 8k equals 96. Now what do I do? Divide both sides by 8, and that gives me k is equal to 12. Okay, and you asked for 13. Let's do 13. If I'm looking at this side is as simple as it gets. Negative 3 is as simple as it gets. Here I've got some distributive property to do, right? I've got negative 15. Negative 2 times c is negative 2c. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2. Minus 3c, okay? Negative 3 then is equal to, let's collect like terms. I've got negative 15 plus 2, which is negative 13. Negative 2c minus 3c is negative 5c, correct? Now we have a two-step equation. It's pretty simple. Negative 15 plus 2 gives me negative 13, okay? All right, now guys, I need to get the c by itself. I'd add 13 to both sides. Negative 3 plus 13 is 10, equals negative 5 times c, right? The opposite of multiplying by negative 5 is to divide by negative 5, and c gives me negative 2. Now, I want to do 14 with you because I want to make sure you understand what's going on when you have a negative in front of a distributing situation, okay? Yes. Guys, whenever you've got a negative in front of this and you're distributing, that you're distributing a negative 1, okay? Put your 1 in there. Multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything. Negative 18 then is equal to 5 times negative 1 times 6k is negative 6k. Negative 1 times negative 19 is positive 19. Okay. Now, let's see what terms we can collect here. I have a 5 and a 19, right? If you add those, you've got 24 minus 6k, right? I need to, what? What do I need to do here? Subtract 24 from each side? Yeah. And what do I get here? Negative 42 then is equal to negative 6k. What do I do? Divide by negative 6 on both sides, and k is equal to positive 7. Great. Number 15. Okay. R minus 3 times R minus 9 plus 4 equals 5. We've got some things to clean up here before we have it as simple as it will get. Let's take care of this distributive property. This is like multiplying a negative 3. Negative 3 times r would make negative 3r. Negative 3 times negative 9 is a positive 27. And then I've got this 4 left here at the end, equals 5. Let's collect like terms. Let's pull all of our r's together. I have r minus 3r, which gives me negative 2r. I have 27 plus 4, which gives me, what, 31? Equals 5. Now, guys, I need to subtract 31 from each side. Negative 2r would give me, let's see, negative 26, right? Divide both sides by 2, negative 2, and r would give me 13, correct? And then number 16. Okay, we've got a lot of distributive property to take care of here. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18, and that's x. There's a negative here, so that's a negative 1. Negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. And there's our equal 107. Now let's collect like terms. Let's see. I have 48 minus 1, which is 47. I have negative 18x minus 2x gives me negative 20x. And that's equal to 107. Now, I'm solving for the x. I'm going to subtract this 47 from each side. That would give me negative 20x is equal to 60, right? And let's divide both sides by negative 20. And I've got x is equal to negative 3, correct? Okay. For now on the page it says multi-step equations, variables on both sides, number 1. Okay, if I'm looking at this, we need to make sure we get everything on the correct sides of the equal sign. I need variables on one side. I need numbers on the other. Let's try to pull the variables over here, okay? This is as simple as it gets here. This is as simple as it gets. So I'm just trying to cross the equal sign now to get all the variables here and all the numbers there. What if I subtract 2x from each side? This is gone. I now have 6x plus 17 equals 35. Now, this is just down to a simple two-step equation. At this point, wouldn't I subtract 17 from both sides? 6x would give me 18. What do I do now? Divide by 6, and x is what? X is 3. Okay? Okay. On number 2, let's get the variables on one side, the numbers on the other. Let's subtract 2k from both sides. I now have 5k plus 8 is equal to negative 37. I'd subtract 8 from each side. 5k is now going to be equal to negative, let's see, negative 45, right? Divide by 5, and k is negative 9. For number 3, m plus 3 is equal to 9m minus 13. I want all the variables on this side and all the numbers on this side. I'm going to subtract 9m from both sides. Remember, if there's nothing in front of this, this is 1m. So 1m minus 9m is negative 8m, plus 3 is negative 13. To get this 3 away from here, I'd subtract 3 from this side, and what I do to one side, I do to the other. I now have negative 8m equals negative 16. Let's divide both sides by negative 8, and I get m is 2. For number 4, I want all the variables on one side, all the numbers on the other. If I'm subtracting a 3y here, let's add 3y to both sides. I now have a negative 1y, or just negative y, plus 6 equals, this is gone, 12. Subtract 6 from both sides because I'm crossing the equal sign. I have negative 1y equals 6. Divide both sides by negative 1, and y is equal to negative 6. Let's look at number 5. Both this side and that side is as simple as it can get, but we need to get all the variables on one side and the numbers on the other. I'm going to subtract 2a from both sides so I can get all the variables on this side. That gives me 4a plus 40 is equal to 0, because 2a minus 2a is 0. I need to get all the numbers on this side, so let's subtract 40 from both sides. 4a then would be equal to negative 40. Let's divide both sides by 4, and a is equal to negative 10. Okay, now let's look at this. I need all the variables on one side and the numbers on the other. I'm going to add 2w to each side. That is 7w minus 29 equals 55. To get the 28 over here, to get the numbers over here, I'm going to add 29. I'm sorry, 29. I'm going to put it over here. That's 7w is equal to the 84. Divide both sides by 7, and w is equal to 12. On number 7, okay, on number 7, 5p minus 11 equals 13p minus 43. Those are as simple as they can get on each side, so I just need to get all the variables on this side and the numbers over here. This is a positive 13p. I'm going to subtract 13p from each side. Okay. This could give me negative 8p minus 11 equals negative 43. Let's add 11 to both sides. And I have negative 8p equals negative 22. Oh, wait, let's see. 43 minus plus 11 would be 32, sorry. 32. Divide both sides by negative 8. And p would be equal to negative 32 divided by negative 8 would be 4. And then on number 8, I'm solving for the variable. This is as simple as it gets on each expression on each side. Let's move all the variables on this side and all the numbers over here. I'm going to subtract 5c from both sides. I know this is an understood 1c. So I have negative 50 minus 6c equals negative 2. I'm going to add 50 to both sides. And I have negative 6c is equal to 48. Let's divide both sides by negative 6. And c is equal to, let's see, that'd be negative 8. And then on the back side of that sheet, number 9. I've got, are these as simple as it gets? No, here I can do some collecting like terms. Negative 5x plus 3x gives me negative 2x plus 16 is equal to negative 23 minus 9x. Now these two are as simple as they get. I want to get all the variables over here and the numbers over there. I'm going to add 9x to both sides. This would give me 7x plus 16 is equal to negative 23. I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. I do to both sides because I'm crossing the equal sign. This gives me 7x is equal to negative, what, let's see, negative 39. Did I mess up something? Let's see. 5x, negative 5, negative 2x, plus 9 is 7x. Okay. Oh, that was minus 16. We have a minus 16. Okay. Subtracted 16 from both sides, so you added 16 to both sides here. Okay. This is a negative, so we should be adding the 16. Okay. When I add 16 here, I wind up with a negative 7. Divide both sides by 7, and x is equal to negative 1. Okay? Let's look at this one. This side is as simple as it can get, but this is not. Let's combine some like terms. So I still got 6r minus 5. 1 minus 24 is negative 23, so 8r minus 23. Now these are as simple as they get. Let's get all the variables on this side. So I'm going to do the opposite of what's here. I'm going to subtract 8r. That gives me negative 2r minus 5 equals negative 23. Let's add 5 to both sides. Negative 2r then would be equal to negative 18. Divide both sides by negative 2. And r would be equal to 9. Number 11. Are these two sides as simple as they can get? No, I can combine these two like terms because they're both a's. 9a minus 7a would be 2a. 3a plus 2a is 5a minus 33. Okay, let's get all the variables on this side and the numbers on that one. So let's subtract 5a from both sides. This gives me negative 3a equal negative 33. Let's divide both sides by negative 3, and a is 11. Now let's look at this one. Is this as simple as it gets? Now I can combine negative 5 and negative 20. It's negative 25 plus 7m equals 20 minus 2m. Okay, so let's make sure all our variables on one side, the numbers on the other. Let's add 2m to both sides. That's negative 25 plus 9m equals 20. Let's add 25 to each side. That gives me 9m is equal to 45. Let's divide both sides by 9, and m is equal to 5. Okay, number 13. I have distributive property on both sides, so let's use it. 4 times k is 4k. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. 2 times k is 2k. 2 times negative 9 is 18. Now let's get all the variables on one side, the numbers on the other. When I cross the equal sign, I do the opposite of what's there. If I have a positive 2k, I subtract 2k from each side. I have 2k minus 8 equals negative 18. Let's divide both sides. Oh, wait. Okay. Let's add 8 to both sides. I've got 2k equal negative 10. Divide both sides by 2, and k is negative 5. Okay. Now let's look at number 14. I have distributive property once again on both sides. Negative 6 times n would be negative 6n. Negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times negative n is negative 5n. If I'm solving for n, I want to get all the variables on this side, the numbers on that one. So let's subtract 18 from both sides. Negative 6n would be equal to 2 minus 5n. I can add 5n to each side. That gives me negative 1n equals 2. Divide by negative 1, and n is equal to negative 2.